it was kind of bad timing for me for this update to come out, because the one day that I didn't go on YouTube and watch Sims content and I didn't play The Sims is when they released the new pronoun update. And I was also like, I've also been busy with work this week, and I was like, if they could have just waited a few days, it would have been much better timing for me. But okay, well, you know, we'll address this now. I've already like talked about my thoughts on the, like, when they released news about it, like when they talked about before they were released. So I have like a video on YouTube about that, but I thought, you know, we should actually look at the actual update itself in the game. So we're gonna play around with that some. I was just gonna see if there's anything in like the patch notes that I need to see or look at. It says the feature has been fully tested and works to change instances of default pronouns to custom ones, but there may be times where the feature doesn't choose the correct pronoun or uses the default pronoun of the assigned gender. So the game is still gonna misgender Sims sometimes, which, okay. It says this is due to several factors such as the complexity of how the feature was implemented, as well as rules around conjugation in English. An example of something you might see is they likes. In this situation, the correct grammatical structure should be they like, but it just replaces the pronoun token itself rather than the pronoun and the verb. I don't I understand like adjusting for the grammar is an issue, but like I would have thought they would have done that with this update. Like, just like searching and replacing every pronoun isn't that hard, I don't think. And like I feel like there's already mods that do this better, so I'm a bit confused about like why they are just like, oh, well, sometimes it's gonna misgender your sim still, actually. They say they'll work to fix the instances of this when found in previously released content, so. There's something I wanted to point out as well, if I can find it again, that I saw. Oh, right. Why are there still instances of gendered language in the game, like policeman or policewoman? And they say, we focus on the addition of customization of pronouns in The Sims 4 in this patch. We understand that there is still work to be done to make the game more inclusive of all genders, and we look forward to continuing to investigate areas where we can further improve this in the game. Basically, they only changed pronouns. They didn't do gendered language, so it's still going to like misgender your Sims. I've heard reports that like it'll still call someone like a brother, sister, husband, wife, that sort of thing, even when you've like changed them to gender neutral pronouns, which like, that just seems like an easy thing to, like, I don't know. I feel like they could have implemented that. They could have made it where if you had any pronouns besides she and he, that it could just default to, like, gender-neutral language, like spouse or sibling. Like, I feel like they could have just done that, and it should just be part of this patch, but I don't know. I mean, again, it's cool that there's customizable pronouns in the game. I just kind of wish that they would have added other things, too, because, as people have pointed out, like, just changing pronouns to be good about gender is kind of English-centric, because, and of course this update is only released in English, but like in other languages a lot more things are gendered, but even in English a lot of other things are gendered. Like, it's not only pronouns, you know? And yeah, if you don't customize the pronouns, it'll default to the gender they were assigned or whatever in the game. It's cool. I do hope that they don't stop there, because it feels like pronouns are very visible, but then a lot of people will just forget about the other ways The Sims is like misgendering people. So what is the first thing we do? I mean, I guess I kind of think I should just start a new game and just look at the feature and create a sim. Let's see. Okay, so it is here. So you go and click up here where it says, hello, my name is, and you can do first name, last name, change pronouns. It's interesting that it says change pronouns. So basically the game has assigned pronouns to your sim, and it's saying you can change them. I don't really like that wording. I feel like they could have said choose pronouns or select pronouns or something, because this does I don't know. I mean, it's just semantic wording, but I mean, I feel like they could have even just said pronouns. I don't know. But there is they, them, she, her, and he, him. They have they, them up at the top. So yeah, you can just click any of those. They did say if you don't, it does seem like once you have selected pronouns, you can't unselect them. So, but I probably can, oh no, I can't go back. I can make a new sim though. So it starts out with change pronouns, and you don't have to fill that out, right? So the game would just default, like for this sim, it would just default to she, her. But once you've chosen pronouns, it looks like you can't go back to the default. You have to select one, which I mean is fair. Like you can just easily select what the default would have been anyways. Okay, so let's look at customized pronouns here. So I went from she, her to customized pronouns, and the default here is she, her. I wonder if I'm at they, them, and then I go to customized pronouns. Okay, so it just defaults to what you had before, which isn't horrible. I can understand that. So then, for example, if you wanted to make your sim like a she, they sim, right, you could do she, her, and then you could just come in and like change a few of the forms. So if you wanted to be like she, them, you could be like their, but then you could do, you know, hers, herself, which isn't like normally how most people do. When you use multiple pronouns, most people don't use like specific pronouns for specific parts of speech, but it is a way to sort of make it work in the game, so you could have like multiple pronouns if you wanted to. I mean, you could even have 5 different pronouns, you know, you can put a different one in each of these spaces. Let's try custom. Like if I could do fae pronouns. So it is automatically capitalizing them, which is good, because in, I think it's the refer mod that lets you do custom pronouns. The like capitalization was kind of off. Like things would just automatically be capitalized and stuff. It seems like it's like the game understands that here. I do appreciate that there's example sentences and they change as you type it, because like honestly figuring out which pronouns are like which type, I don't know what these different ones are called, is kind of hard actually. I guess why don't I just make a bunch of sims with different pronouns, and we can put them in the game and see what happens. I need to figure out ways to like generate a ton of notifications so we can just like test it all out and see everything, like see the possible options. And that's the thing, if I just randomize a bunch of sims, they're all still going to be like binary in the gender settings. So I could go in and change that for a few of them. We'll give this sim they, them pronouns. And then I'll give you some custom pronouns. I guess I kind of wish that it would default to some custom pronouns so people could like get used to the idea. So like they could see how to use some of them. But I mean, I guess you can always look them up. Let's do Z. There's like so many pronoun sets that start with Z as a subjective. So I'm trying to figure out which one I should use. Z, I might do like Z-zer. I don't know if I should have some, I guess, okay, I'll do some sims with the like she, her, and he, him, but I'll make it the opposite of what like the game thinks that the default should be. So this sim will be set as female, but I'll have he, him. And we'll see how that works. If it works. I should do sims of different ages actually. So, okay, you can choose pronouns for kids and it works the exact same way, so that's good. What about for toddlers? Oh, good. You can do it for toddlers, too. Okay. Because for the gender, like, see these things, customize gender, they actually are not available for toddlers and kids. So at least pronouns are, like, customizable pronouns. That's good. So then, like, you can do that. But it is kind of annoying that there's no gender options. I guess maybe it's because, like, the model is pretty much the same. But it is annoying you can't even choose, like, fashion choice because, let's see. See, it'll assign them a fashion choice, so like masculine if they're male, and then like feminine if they're female. So I do wish you could at least change that, like even if the model of the body is the same either way. They could let us like choose that. And then for kids, it's the same thing. You can't change it for kids. It goes and change all the pronouns for children to them. Yeah, I tend to default to referring to my kid sims as they, them. The only thing is like, I never know how to like figure out what pronouns the sim would use, because I feel bad assigning it to them or like deciding what the sim's gender is gonna be. You know, like it's like, oh, I can't just tell them like you're this gender, you know, but like there's no way for them to decide themselves. I think there might be mods that can do something like that. I don't know. It would be kind of cool if you could like randomize what their gender is, but then at the same time it would still feel like assigning a gender, so I don't know how I feel about that. What should we give this sim? Let's do, I like Z here. I think it's Z here. I'm pretty sure it's just like Z here, here's, and then here self. Oh, there's custom pronouns for pets? I might have to look at that. But yeah, if anyone has suggestions of pronoun sets to do, let me know. Let's see, we have 6 sims. Okay, we can do a few more. I'll try a pet. Let me look at pets. Let's do a dog. Oh yeah, you can choose pronouns for dogs too. I wonder if that works. I mean, I guess we could try it. I'll give the dog they, them pronouns. So like, okay, what if I give this sim a name? Bruno. Okay. Bruno Bueno. Really? Okay, that's what we're going with. So like, what if you made it so that your sim basically had no pronouns and they were just referred to by their name? I feel like that could be interesting. Oh, it will mess up the capitalization because it's going to assume, right, that it shouldn't be capitalized in the sentence. But I mean, you know, it could be a lowercase name. It's not that big of a deal. So like, if I just made this sim like Bruno only doesn't have pronouns effectively and just wants to be called Bruno. So we can say grilled cheese is Bruno's first love. That burnt grilled cheese is Bruno's. Eliza made the grilled cheese. Wait. Oh, that's confusing because this sim isn't named Eliza. I was so confused. I was like, what? Okay, but it would be. I'm just gonna keep this one for themselves. That's the only problem with like not using pronouns is that it's really hard to figure out a reflexive. I mean, you could say Bruno self, but yeah, it's hard to figure out a reflexive if you're not using pronouns, but the rest of it should work pretty well. We can't, yeah, I know, now we can't talk about Bruno, but no, Bruno says, you can talk about me all you want, just don't use any pronouns for me. We don't talk about Bruno's pronouns. Sorry, now I'm gonna get that song stuck in everyone's head. Okay. I guess let's just go into the game then and see how this works. Oh, this kid did not get a name. What if I put them in Strangerville? There'd probably be a lot of, like, pop-ups with notifications and stuff used there. I'm just kind of gonna ultra speed. I should probably give some of them jobs so there's more stuff happening. Oh, okay. So, London has Faye pronouns. So I did use Faye pronouns correctly. Faye starts Monday at 8 a.m., so that's good. Okay, let's give someone else. Okay, you already have a job. Let's give someone else a job. Bruno. What job should Bruno have? Okay, use Bruno. I do like that. I feel like that's a good option if you don't want to have your sim referred to by like using pronouns. You can just put their name as the pronoun. And there might be some issues with capitalization, but it does look kind of cool. Then it used they for Shauna. Is there any way to see their pronouns outside of create a sim is what I'm wondering. It doesn't look like there is. Which is, I don't know, it is kind of annoying. Like, if you set pronouns for any of the Sims, you wouldn't be able to see what they are. I don't think there's a way to do that. From what I've seen, it doesn't look like there's, like, an interaction to ask pronouns, which, I don't know, I feel like that would be kind of cool. Because you can ask about, like, career, and you can ask about hobbies and stuff. So, I feel like it'd be cool to ask about pronouns, but I understand that's more of a gameplay thing that they haven't added yet, but it didn't, I don't know, I feel like it wouldn't be that hard. There could just be a little pop-up. It used they, them pronouns for fish, but it might be because this is a gender-neutral thing in the game. You can see them when you open Sims profile, but no interactions. Oh, that's good to know. Okay, so if you open the Sims profile, where do you see them? Because I don't see it here. Or is it like in here somewhere? Because in create a sim, it's with their name. I'm not seeing the pronouns anywhere in game. And see, I like they have already done in the game, there are some ways where like the game just won't use pronouns already. So like this is one example where it says Trey is materialistic. Materialistic sims need to buy new things and enjoy admiring, discussing their belongings. So like it doesn't have to talk about your sim specifically. So it doesn't have to say like Trey is this. That means he, she, they, whatever. Does this, which again, I don't actually remember which pronouns I gave this sim because I don't see a way to look at it. Okay, so here is, here's a grammar issue. So it says, Trey is not reaping whatever it is that Zay is sowing. Is it time to admit that Zay dislikes gardening? I guess Zay, actually I don't know how the grammar of Zay, them pronouns work. I guess I assume it works similar to they, them because they're like similar, but maybe this is correct grammar for they pronouns. But either way, if you're using they pronouns, at the very least, the grammar is probably just going to be incorrect, which is kind of annoying because, again, like I have mods that fix that, like the genderless mod by Foggity corrects the grammar, so I don't know, it doesn't seem like that hard to me, but anyways, maybe they'll fix it at some point. They do seem to be, the pronouns do seem to be at least working mostly as intended. Oh, our refrigerator's been confiscated, so that's great. I guess, I was trying to see where would we see gendered language, and I guess it would be in the relationship panel. The only problem is none of these Sims, like, have relationships to each other, so kind of hard to, because we're just, like, acquaintances with everyone. So I'm gonna give some of them relationships. I mean, I guess I can just see in here. Okay. So when you're setting household relationships, it's still binary, and still based on, like, the sex assigned in the game. So, like, it's saying sister, wife, daughter, fiance. Sister, wife, daughter, fiance. Brother, son, brother, husband, son, fiance. So, you can't, yeah, there's no gender neutral language here, which I feel like would be kind of easy to just blanket replace it all with gender neutral language, but I guess, like, some people don't want everything replaced with gender neutral language. But I feel like they could at least, like, they already have 2 sets, right? Like, they already have brother, husband, son, fiance, and sister, wife, daughter, fiance. Like, couldn't they also make another one that's, like, sibling, spouse, child, fiance, betrothed, engaged, you know, any of those options that could be gender neutral. Yeah, and so it just, like, so, like, London uses Fae pronouns, but it calls Fae mother. Oh, and even calls Savannah aunt, even though Savannah uses he, him pronouns. So again, I mean, you could, like, obviously you could be an aunt and use he, him pronouns. You know, like, you could be a mother and use Fae, fair pronouns. Like, that's alright. But there's no option, like, in the game, it's just defaulting to whatever their assigned gender, whatever they're doing here. I guess it's like, yeah, I guess it's their assigned gender. It's defaulting to that when talking about relationships, which is kind of disappointing. I don't know. I'm glad it exists. I still haven't found, like, let me know if y'all know of a place to see their pronouns in the user interface anywhere outside of Create a Sim, because I don't see any way to see that. There's nothing where it shows the pronouns. Not even here, which is where I would assume it would be. I should check if it still says that. There's a particular pop-up in Create a Sim that I really do not like. Let me go in and see if it still does that. Okay, let me see if that pop-up, the, like, dialogue thing that I hate, comes up. It's when you do a story to make a sim, right? So I'm just gonna pick a bunch of random options. But when you do story mode to create a sim, it says, "Hey, nice to meet you. Feel free to assign my gender, adjust my appearance, and select my clothing. And don't forget to give me a name." And I do not like that they decided to use the language of assign my gender. Like, that kind of feels like someone who's like, oh, I know let's assign my, but, like, assigning gender is often used to refer to, like, a violent process where people are forced into a gender that they don't want to be in. So, like, when we talk about, like, I was assigned whatever at birth, no one says I assigned myself this gender. Like, oh yeah, I came out, I realized I was trans, and now I'm assigned this. Like, that's not how anyone uses assign my gender. So, like, when people talk about assigning gender, it inherently carries that connotation of, like, coercive, like, something being forced on someone. Like, even, I mean, I guess when people talk about, like, AFAB and AMAB, they'll use, like, assigned at birth or whatever, but, like, we also don't tend to use that language for, like, cis people either. I don't know, it just gives me a very bad taste in my mouth. Yeah, exactly. That wording is just, like, you could just say choose my gender, right? You could say select, like, adjust, like, they said select my clothing, right? They said adjust, like, you could say adjust my gender. You could say change my gender. You should say pick my gender. There's a million choices. And the fact that they used a sign there makes me think that they're, like, familiar with, like, trans terminology, which honestly makes it worse that there's, like, not very good trans, like, options in the game, but, like, it just feels, like, kind of ignorant, I guess, to, like, think that that's not a negative thing to say. It also, I guess, I mean, I don't really expect them to have changed this to talk about pronouns, but I kind of hoped maybe they would, like, change the language here and have, like, oh, don't forget to give me a name and you can choose my pronouns if you want or something. But, like, there were literally so many other options they could have done besides assign. There's so many things that The Sims does that, like, I can tell they're trying to be inclusive, but that's kind of the problem, is I can tell they're trying to be inclusive, but, like, it's almost like they're more trying to look inclusive, if that makes sense. Like, how they'll put rainbow pride flags on everything or whatever, and how they, like, for this, they gave options for custom gender settings, which is cool. I feel like it was a good stopgap measure, because these are things already in the game, for the most part, except for, I think this whole, like, neither, like, not being able to become pregnant or get pregnant, that was probably new. But the physical frames, clothing preferences, the, like, these gender stuff here, like, that was already in the game. They just gave us the option to choose. but they didn't change how the game functions to make it work well. So then the clothes tend to look weird or like not quite fit with these gender settings and stuff, with the custom gender settings. And like the same thing with, again, like putting pride flag colors on everything. It's just like, you can't just slap a rainbow flag on it and then say it's like inclusive of like queer people. You know, like transphobia and queerphobia and like allocishet heteronormativity is a structural issue. So you have to look at the structures of the game. If you really want to fix it and address it, you have to look at the structures of the game and change those to be better and to not exclude people. Because they're structural issues that were coded into the way that the game was made. So in order to address that, you can't just like put a band-aid of like an aesthetic band-aid, something that just like looks inclusive or whatever. You can't just throw in a rainbow tank top and be like, we're all good. Allocishet. So allo is when you're not asexual or aromantic. It's a term. So like the opposite of asexual is allosexual if you're not asexual, and the opposite of aromantic is alloromantic. So I use allo to like, so a lot of people will say cishet because cis is like when you're not trans and het is like when you're not gay or bi or queer. So I say allo cishet, or I try to a lot of the time. I know it's like longer, so it can be confusing. But like, because I personally am aromantic and asexual, being not aromantic and not asexual is also very normalized in society. And there are structural things that like have negative impacts on a lot of people in the same way that like transphobic systems have negative impacts on a lot of people. A lot of people are, you know, forced into like ways of gender that they might not want to, like, they're told they have to express gender in a certain way, even if they're not trans, and that can be harmful to a lot of people. And I think heteronormativity can also be harmful to a lot of people. Like, I think also allonormativity, or it's also called amatonormativity, can be harmful to a lot of people in, like, assuming that everyone is going to want to, like, couple up with one romantic and sexual partner and do specific things like get married and have a kid and live together and that sort of thing. Yeah, sorry, that was a very long explanation. I hope it was helpful. Yeah, I know, I don't think anyone has body hair in The Sims yet. I'm a little worried. So, like, okay, people think that the next pack is gonna be Werewolves, right? The next, I think is it an expansion pack or game pack? I don't remember. Or I don't know if we even know, actually. But, so people have speculated they might put body hair in with, like, werewolves, which would make sense. But I am worried it's going to be gendered. I mean, I think the pack's going to be coming out in Pride Month, so we'll see. Maybe they'll give us, like, rainbow werewolf fur. Rainbow body hair, but only for men. I hope that they give us, like, I hope that if we get body hair, that it's gender neutral. I would like to have body hair. It would be really cool. And they could have, like, a few different options and stuff, like they have with facial hair. That could be pretty cool. But I also understand, like, I feel like since it's not in the game so far, it might be hard to put in, but I don't actually know. Like, I can imagine underarm hair being kind of hard to animate, because you'd have to, like, animate it for so many different positions. But I feel like chest hair or leg hair might be easier. Yeah, the beards are still locked to male, and like not even the masculine frame. So like you can have a feminine frame and then have a beard, but you cannot be marked as female and have a beard. So even if you had a masculine frame, you can't have beards. And that's honestly one of the biggest frustrations I still have with the gender system, or like the body system in The Sims 4, is that boobs and facial hair are mutually exclusive and tied not to even the frame, but to the gender setting, which up until now has been tied to pronouns. At least now that's not tied to pronouns, so that's good. But before, basically, you couldn't have he, him pronouns and have boobs, and you couldn't have, like, she, her pronouns or whatever and have facial hair. Now you can, but you can't have, like, boobs and facial hair at the same time, which strikes me as very strange, because I think that's actually, like, an extremely common combination that happens in people. Like, that's a very common thing to exist, is to be able to grow facial hair and to also have boobs at the same time. Like, it's not, like, a lot of trans people, a lot of intersex people, a lot of cis people have that combination. So if it was body hair for men, it would only come in brown, black, and blue. Oh no, are they bruises? Maybe camo body hair. Can you just imagine the werewolf pack is gonna have camo, rainbow, and camo and rainbow body hair. They're like, look, we're inclusive. Why am I just now getting this pop-up? Customize Sims pronouns. Yeah, I know. I did that. I did that already. At least they are announcing it. Because I saw some people being like, oh, I'm so glad that they didn't do this during Pride Month. They just dropped it. They didn't make a big deal out of it. And I was kind of worried it would be like just kind of sneakily sliding it in under the rug, so that no one would notice if they cared, if they were upset about it. But no, there's an announcement, so that's good. I don't know what this person is meant to signify. They probably just needed some random sim to use here. They're kind of is that in the game though, this outfit? I wonder what that's from. We don't have a mechanic career.